You like to watch new stuff, right? Well, go to Hulu and see what's new, because Hulu has new stuff all the time. Like Vanderpump Villa, the new docudrama starring Lisa Vanderpump, where first-class luxury meets world-class drama. A new season of The Kardashians starring The Kardashians, of course. And Grand Cayman, Secrets in Paradise, the sizzling new reality show set in the tropical Caribbean. It's all new and it's streaming now on Hulu.
This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. This podcast is a Siete production. Well, after almost 9 long years, to quote the great Michael Jordan back in March 1995, I'm back. Welcome to the relaunch episode of the D-Lew Podcast. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis, and I have to tell you, it feels so good to be back in the podcast space after such a lengthy hiatus, which I did not intend to take. Just things that got in the way. Things took priority, such as my acting career, that led to music, that led to pro wrestling, which ultimately led me back to podcasting. So I want to thank everybody that reached out to me regarding the relaunch of the show, giving me their well wishes, and I appreciate it more than you know. Well, this week, I have Chrissy Monroe that's going to be the very first guest on a relaunch episode of the D-Lew Podcast. She's a reality show star, entrepreneur, philanthropist, everything under the sun. She does everything, a little bit of everything. And we had an amazing conversation about her life, her career, talking about moving from Baltimore to New York City and how that transition was, how she got on Love and Hip Hop Season 5, y'all. This is crazy. It's a crazy story how she all broke it down. Her charity work that she does for domestic violence, which I really, really want you all to listen to. A lot of stories that she told that even shocked me. And I was just like, wow. But she kept it all the way real. And she's a real person. And again, one of my absolute favorite people in this business that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. And you're going to really enjoy this episode. And let's not wait any longer. My interview with Chrissy Monroe starts right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to have this individual on the D-Lew Podcast. She's an entrepreneur, model, philanthropist, reality show star, and everything under the sun. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Chrissy Monroe to the D-Lew Podcast. How are you, Chrissy?
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule to come on and talk to us on the show. So right off the bat, I wanted to talk about, the last 2 years for you. And obviously we were hit with the global pandemic, and obviously you being an entrepreneur, being self-employed, just basically it affected a lot of people. So I just wanted to ask, what were the ups and downs for you with the global pandemic?
Well, honestly, I actually enjoyed it. I welcomed it because for the first time in my entire life, I had a break from working and hustling so hard. I've been working pretty much since I've been 12 years old, nonstop, continuously. And I had my own plastic surgery business on Madison and 59th. So that shut down abruptly due to the pandemic. And then I was relieved. Like I said, it was a break for me. I was like, whew, I get to stay home and just chill.
Right.
And then I enjoyed, a few months, my summer, here and there, like, there'd be some little private parties, and things like that. Of course, the clubs were closed, but it was great having that downtime. But then that September, I got a blood clot in my liver, and I was hospitalized, and almost died. I was in the hospital for a month. That September, I got out in October. Come to find out, they found a blood clot in my portal vein, which is the vein that goes through your liver, and it was blocking the oxygen to my organs in my body. I was in the hospital for a month. I lost 30 pounds. I had 5 surgeries in 5 days. I was in a coma. The priest came. I mean, it was a lot. And that was during the pandemic. So what made it suck was I couldn't even have anyone. They weren't allowed to bring me anything. My visitations were very limited because of the COVID. So I had a few visitors, not as many, a lot of people wanted to see me, but they had to go through downstairs at the hospital. No one was allowed to bring me outside food or drinks, which was a nightmare. Right. But I was just happy to be alive. And, it was a big wake up call for me. And it happened during the pandemic. So I knew once that things cleared up, I made up my mind in the hospital that I was never going to go back to the medical industry, which was the surgery field that I just, abruptly left.
Right.
I decided on a lot of things when I was laying in that hospital bed. It was life-changing. So I don't think that was due to the pandemic, but it happened during the pandemic, of course. Right. It was not COVID related. It was actually due to drinking a liquid collagen supplement that I had no idea was, a blood thickener, and my body wasn't breaking it down. So the pandemic, to answer your question, was very life-changing for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I can remember when... For sure. And I remember when all of that went down with, when you were in the hospital, and I was legitimately worried. I had checked in with Dawn actually, and I was like DMing her, hey, is she okay? Is she okay? Is she okay? And once you were, I knew you were okay when you had posted a video and you were thanking God you were able to eat a crab leg for the first time in over a month. So I was like, okay, Chrissy's good. Yes. Chrissy's good.
A crab leg, I'm good. If it's about a crab
Absolutely.
leg, I'm good.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So you're from Baltimore, and tell us a little bit about what life was like for Chrissy growing up in Baltimore.
Ooh, have you ever watched The Wire?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very true to life, very real. I grew up in Baltimore City, inner city Baltimore, East Baltimore to be exact, and it was not pretty. It was very gritty, very rough. A lot of drugs, a lot of drug dealing, a lot of crime. The fast life, and that's what I grew up with. I started working in the strip clubs at age, I think, 16. Oh, wow. Just fast money, fast life. That's all I knew, though. I had a very dysfunctional family, so everything was just about getting a dollar. I mean, it was nothing else to really think about. Like, it wasn't really like the normal upbringing. I'm a high school dropout. Mm-hmm. Come from a very dysfunctional, drug addicted, alcoholic family. So, I was the youngest, so I learned a lot from other people in my family's mistakes, what I didn't want to be like. So, but I was just always a hustler and worker, and just stayed focused. I had a vintage clothing store for 3 years. I started dating a guy from New York when I was 17 till I was 27. He was a drug dealer from New York. He had gotten murdered when I was 27. And that was another turning point in my life where I said, if I don't leave Baltimore now before I'm 30, I made the plan to leave before I was 30 because I knew I wanted to act and model and not be in Baltimore anymore. They call it Smaltimore. It's the 11th largest city in the United States, but everyone knows everybody. It's kind of that limited mentality. And I started acting and modeling when I was 12, and I did a lot of things and was an extra on anything and everything that came through Baltimore. I was on a Baltimore City soap opera that aired on Baltimore City cable, but it was just only so far I was really going to go in Baltimore, to be realistic. I knew I had to be where the work was, which was only a 3-hour drive away in New York. And I had gotten familiar with dating this guy that was murdered, him from being in New York. We would come and spend money on the weekends and go to all the hot clubs, and I would see all the celebrities and models, and I would be like, wow, it was a whole nother universe for me. that I was accustomed to being in the streets, that I wanted to just elevate myself. I said, I'm going to New York. Like, I don't even care. Like, I got rid of my vintage clothing store. I sold my house. I had a pretty nice life in Baltimore, and actually very nice life. I didn't have any reason to leave, but I really didn't have a reason to stay. I knew I wasn't fulfilled, and I knew I had bigger plans for myself, which was to get into the entertainment industry. And I did exactly that. I left when I was 29. I knew two people when I moved here. That was my ex that got murdered's cousins, and I started over. I started dancing at Sue's Rendezvous in Mount Vernon, made a lot of contacts in the entertainment industry, and the rest is kind of history. It's been great ever since.
Wow. And I was gonna ask you what forced you to move to New York City. That was gonna be my next question. But also underneath that, being in, in my opinion, the largest city in the world, in my opinion, how were you able to adjust, living in Baltimore like your whole entire life, and uprooting and moving to a large city like New York? How were you able to navigate and adjust through that?
Well, Baltimore is a city. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's the 11th largest city. It's not exactly small, you know what I'm saying? But it is a city. Actually, Baltimore, to me, in my opinion, is way worse than New York. It's a city. Like, it's bad. Like, it's just more impoverished, and it's a whole nother level of poverty and crime and mentality that I felt like New York was like moving to like Beverly Hills. Like, even the rough parts to me was nothing coming from where I'm from. So
wow.
It wasn't even an adjustment. It was a step up for me. Like, I was like, this is nothing. Like, these people are kind of soft. And from where I'm from, like they like really, the bums even are fly. Like, you know what I'm saying? The
wow.
homeless people even got on nice. Some of them got on designer. Like, it's not like that in Baltimore. Like, they'll rob you for $5. They'll kill you for $5. Like, wow. So to me, I felt more at ease here. Like, I felt like it was just classier. Like, it was just a different vibe. And then I liked going down to the Village. I loved shopping in Soho. I loved the nightlife. Like, New York was a different place when I moved here 22 years ago. Like, it's not like it is now. It's whack now, in my opinion. But it was a whole vibe. Like, it was just lit. Every night you wanted to be out, and you would see real stars and A-list people. There was a real VIP. You'd be at the China Club and see A-list people, and you'd see Eddie Murphy at the club, and, amazing things. Not like now, where all you have to do is buy a bottle to get into the VIP. You had to actually be a VIP. You know what I'm saying? So it was lit, and it's just, everything was just so dope. There were brunches and just all kind of just great restaurants that were trendy and everybody would be at, and, the nightclubs were popping, BMF would come through, and you just the whole spectacle of everything was just amazing. It was just, you just didn't want to miss out. You never wanted to miss a night. So
for sure,
it was no adjustment. Yeah. But the adjustment was, I was already coming up on the weekends all the time. So it wasn't really a big adjustment.
Right.
It was just a step up, and I was here for it. I was just loving every second.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Now, on that note, you were on season 5 of Love and Hip Hop, and that was, very popular reality show. So what went into you being casted for that show, for that season?
Just me watching the show, and I'm like, wow, this is really my life. Like, before TV, I was already known. I guess you would say infamous. Like, people knew me, they knew of me. I knew all the celebrities. I knew all the ball players. Like, I was in the nightlife. So,
right.
I was like, this is really my life. Like, I don't rap, I don't sing, but I know everybody in the industry. I got all the jewelry. I'm already fly. Like, it's my life. This is my real life. Like, I need to get on that show. So, one of my very close friends is married to a big A-list celebrity. We're still friends to this day. I said, girl, I need to get on that show. Do you know anybody that's on that show or can get me? And she said, I do. She had a friend that knew somebody on the Atlanta cast for the first season, and they made a call. She put me in touch with the girl. I sent the girl a few pictures. I didn't have any really great pictures at the time. And a little biography of some of the work that I've done. And I had an interview in Mona's office 2 days later, and the rest is history. They love me. I mean, I just went in, and I knew that was my chance. Like the Eminem song, you only get one shot.
One shot, exactly.
That was my one shot. And brought the dog with the dive collar, the long 22-inch ponytail, and just the whole, outfit and the whole look and the whole personality, and that the rest is history. So.
And as an actor myself, I can tell you, I've been in those situations before where it's like one contact, you know what I mean, can change your life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Somebody, someone, you're one contact away from realizing your dream. So like the old saying goes, always treat people with respect, because you never know who you may run into in 10 years. That's definitely for sure.
Absolutely.
Now let's take another deep dive for just a second. Now, we follow each other on social media, and again, I thank you very much for coming on to the show today. You were taking care of your dad, during, obviously for maybe like a year or so, before he ultimately had passed away. What was it? What did it mean to you being there for him after all of the things you had gone through in your childhood?
It meant that I knew I was right with God, and I knew I was right and doing the right thing as a human being. Because like I said, I didn't say, but my father kicked me out when I was young. I remarried when I was 16, and his wife and I used to fist fight. All her kids, she had 6 kids, they were all grown, and she really just didn't want me around. Like, she just wanted to be him and her, and she was a very uneducated woman, very low-class woman. I'm being nice. I'm putting it nicely. And we used to fist fight, and my father basically kicked me out and chose her over me, and I was hurt. Imagine, you're still a kid, you're a teenager, and your father gets married to the evil stepmother, and they don't want you there, and you really get kicked out, and you have nowhere to go. That's how I ended up homeless as a teenager and working in the strip clubs at an early age, as a way to support myself. I was in straight survival mode. But I know my father was a good man. My father never put his hands on us. He never touched me. He never did anything. It just, after I grew to get older, I grew to appreciate my stepmother, the fact that she was taking care of my father in his older age. My father was a good man, and I know my father loved me very much. I had a resentment for a long time, but I got over that, and it helped actually mold me into being the independent person that I grew up to be. And I just put all that aside when his wife died of liver cancer. And I know, my father's legally blind. Here he is. He was 82 years old, in the diapers, pretty much can't walk, needed a wheelchair, with dementia, beginning stages of dementia. Who was going to get him? Nobody. There was nobody to take care of him. His wife died abruptly. She hid the cancer from everyone. She died suddenly, and there was no one for him. So I went down, literally put him in my car and brought him to New York. And he didn't know. I told him we were going to the store. And that was it. The house was filthy. There were bed bugs, roaches. It was we didn't know how bad the situation was because they hid it and didn't want anyone in their business. A lot of older people are like that. They're old school. They don't want nobody in their house. They don't want anybody in their business. So, and I'm in New York. I'm 3 hours away. So, I didn't know how bad it had gotten until my brother told me what was going on over there. So I said, no, I'm taking Dad with me. So I put him up here, a mile away from me in a nursing home, because I'm by myself. I don't have anyone here during the day to watch him. I was running the surgery business. I still got bills to pay, and I can't leave my father in my house to burn it down. He loves smoking cigarettes. So the best thing for me was to put him in a nursing home a mile away, so they could give him his medications, they could give him his special soft diet, change his diaper. I don't want to change my father's diaper. I want him to still have his pride as a man, and not to be humiliated. Right. So I let them basically do all the heavy lifting, and it worked out. I got to spend a year with my father, getting to know him all over again and hearing stories that I never knew. But then again, it was also painful for me to watch him cry for his wife. He didn't remember going to her funeral. I kept having to tell him, she went to Atlantic City, or she, at the casino, she went to the flea market, just to keep him calm so he wouldn't panic. I didn't know, there's no manual telling you how to deal with people with Alzheimer's or dementia. This was all new for me. But it wasn't as bad as, I thought it was going to be. Like, it was sad knowing, he was deteriorating, but he knew who I was. That was the good thing. Like, and honestly, when he died, I can't even be mad because I got to be with him. He died of pneumonia related complications. I think it was COVID, honestly, but thank God it happened when it did, because it was a week before they shut down the nursing homes and they shut down the hospitals. So if it would have happened a week later, this is how I know I'm so blessed. It's just everything has always been in my favor. I got to hold his hand. I got to sign the papers. I got to make sure they gave him the morphine and he passed comfortably. They gave us a private room. It was just me and him. I got to hold him. But if it would have been a week later, he would have been alone. He would have died alone. He would have been confused. And I don't think I'd ever honestly be able to live with myself if that would have been the case. But that wasn't the case. Thank God. So I got to be with him, and I'm at peace with it, that I stepped up no matter what happened in the past. I didn't let the past make me bitter and turn my back on him as an old man who needed me, who had no one. I know I did the right thing. And I hope anybody listening would do the same for a parent. I don't expect, if you were molested or anything like that, to, you don't know anyone's situations, but if your parents were a good person, it was just some teenage BS or whatever, get over it. Be there for your parents, because people need people. So I'm at peace with it. Like, I know I did everything I could to make him comfortable in his last year, make him happy. And, like I said, I'm at peace with it. So it was a great experience for me, honestly. I got that was a blessing. A lot of people never get to really have their parents back in their life again, or catch up. And I got to see him at a different point of my life as a mature adult, not the rebellious teenager that I was. So it was actually, it was a positive thing. It was a positive thing.
And I remember seeing you post a lot when you would go visit him. You would post videos every day of him playing with the cat and stuff like that. And I just thought that was such a good gesture, just to show the people, hey, listen, this is, and you're authentic. And ever since I've met you, you've always been authentic of who you are and unapologetic of who you are, and you show all aspects of your life. And just being able to show what you were doing with him, at the nursing home, like every time you were there, I was just like, wow. And I would just watch your video, and it's like, that's incredible. And I hope that it shows people, what they should do, when it's an ailing parent, or whatever the case may be, and making sure that they're taking care of them. Now, let's talk about another, an organization that you actually run. Is called Survive to Thrive Global. I know you're really, really passionate about it. I actually follow the page. It's a domestic violence type of organization. If you can just shed light a little bit on what do you do and all the aspects that goes into it.
Okay, so when I left Love and Hip Hop, I got involved with a younger guy, and make a long story short, he almost beat me to death. It's a long story. Yeah. But it was on more than one occasion, but I'm lucky to be alive. They only gave him 3 months in jail for it. And they ran it concurrent. He was already in there on a robbery charge. They ran it concurrent with the time he was in there on another charge. So basically, he didn't get 1 second of time for what he did to me. Just on paper, a domestic violence charge. But this man had felonies for guns and drugs and other things. So it was a joke to him. It was a slap on the wrist. And I was like, wow, it took so much courage for me to even press charges, to come out with this. And this is all they did? They did nothing.
Wow.
And I'm imagining, like, I'm on TV and, this is bad publicity for them. And they obviously don't care. Imagine regular people that aren't on TV that don't even have that as leverage to get help and to try to get, some kind of justice for themselves. I need to speak up. I was like, if I don't speak up, who's going to speak up? Like, who's going to do something about this? Like, this is crazy. Like, this happened to me and they did nothing about it. It took me bringing a lawyer with me to basically the DA's office to get them to even follow through, because they didn't want to do the paperwork. They really don't care about domestic violence. They don't care. So I said, you know what? I have a platform from Love and Hip Hop. I've been blessed. Let me use my platform to get this out here, because there's so many people going through this, and it's the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. Like, I almost lost everything. This man hated me. He was jealous of me. He wanted my life. Just disgusting. He told me he hates females. just a complete psychopath. So I started Survive to Thrive Global with the intention of just having the platform and not wanting anyone to go through what I went through. Just that simple. Sorry, hold on. Let me drink my water.
That's fine.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to start it. I didn't have these big plans for a big nonprofit. None of that. I just, you know what? I'm like, I just need to let people know what happened to me, that they're not alone, that this can happen to anyone. And I want to learn more about it. And I want to educate people and empower other people to get out before it gets to the point where it did with what happened to me, because it was a gradual progression of emotional, then verbal, then physical. It wasn't just overnight. You know what I'm saying? So
it just builds up and builds up and builds up.
Yeah, I didn't know I was being emotionally abused in the beginning, and the mind games and the trickery and the narcissistic tactics and the doubting, gaslighting and making you question yourself. I didn't know what a narcissist was. I didn't know any of that stuff. So Survive to Thrive Global, I started in 2016 with the intentions of just mainly educating and bringing awareness to domestic violence and saving lives, because just the fact of teaching people the signs and the warnings and that you're not crazy, it's not your fault, has encouraged a lot of people to get out before it has even gotten to be physical. And that's right there, just alone, is life-changing and life-saving, because if you can get out before it takes one punch, one time to hit you the wrong way to kill you. It doesn't have to come to that. If you can see those warning signs ahead of time, but I didn't know. I mean, I pretty much figured it out when he started spitting in my face and calling me all kind of filthy names. But then again, this guy was already paroled to my house and I couldn't get him out. He basically had nowhere to go, and it was a nightmare. I started leaving my own home because I didn't want to be here because he was here. So it was a whole big, horrible mess. So we help women, men as well, who are getting out of their situation. I can't go to someone's house and say, girl, wake up. You need to leave him. Let me come pick you up. No, it doesn't work like that. People have to be ready and they have to want to leave. You can't tell anybody to leave. You can't force them to leave. That's not what I'm here for.
Right.
I'm here to be an example and to be an inspiration of, you know what? I went through it. You saw the pictures. I posted them. It's real. And I got out and I'm doing better than ever. I'm thriving. Not only am I a survivor, I'm a thriver. My life is better now because now I know the mistakes I've made in dating. That wasn't my first abusive relationship. Was it my first physically abusive relationship like that? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've had shoving matches with guys and stuff like that, not to minimize it. But yeah, by far it was the most horrible. I mean, I got a chipped tooth, permanent hearing damage in my left ear, my left jaw dislocated, a cracked rib. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So yeah, I've had relationships, verbal abusive relationships in my past. A lot of things, financial control. I've had guys financially control me, and I thought that was all okay. I didn't know all the things that I know now, which is what I share with people, that it doesn't have to get to almost getting your life ended and getting your jaw dislocated like I did, going to the hospital, and the cracked rib and the black eyes and all that stuff. So, and just having a safe place, just even having social media for domestic violence is such a blessing, because it gives people from all over the world a chance to communicate and network and share similar experiences in a non-judgmental zone. I'm about to start my meetings again. The meetings are extremely helpful. In the city, I was having them before COVID. Just a place for us to come and talk is so effective, because so many of us have not had a voice for so long, and we've been silenced by our abusers and by our so-called friends and family. We've been isolated. We just need somebody to listen to us, to tell us, we believe you, we love you. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm sorry that happened to you. Because a lot of us have never had that. We've been just, girl, why didn't you leave sooner? You're stupid. You shouldn't be with him. you're dumb. I would have left. I would have thrown this hot grease on him. We've all heard that as, victims of domestic violence. So just having a safe place to talk and to be listened to is just beyond effective. So yeah, that's what Survive to Thrive Global does. I kind of at one time was gung-ho about trying to get laws changed and all that. And honestly, it's not even being pessimistic, but these lawmakers and these politicians do not care about domestic violence. And I find just more of helping people on a more one-on-one level, providing them with groceries, school uniforms for their kids. People that are trying to get back on their feet and rebuild their lives, for me, has been more effective than me trying to go beat down these politicians' doors and they just shake their head, they yes you to death, and then they just go right back to what they were doing at their desk. They just smile in your face. They say they're going to do this, do that. They don't do anything. Unfortunately, yeah. Ideally, I would love to see the laws change and them give stricter sentences to these murderers and abusers. They're just not doing it, and I honestly have gotten to feel helpless about changing things on a larger scale. I'd love to be more optimistic and say that things are changing. They're not. And I'm not going to stop fighting for that. But I found that I can allocate my energy and my resources and time more to helping people one-on-one, or, having my groups and helping a group of people, or having the social media pages where more people are getting the information than me trying to beat down on these politicians who are just yesing you to death just to get, they come around at election time and act like they care.
Oh yeah,
and
most
they don't
definitely.
they don't even answer their DMs or anything any other time. So I'm past that. I'm off the whole politician thing, and it's all fake to me. So yeah, that's my foundation. That's my lifelong thing. I don't get government grants. I don't have a grant writer. I rely solely on private donations. I've had 2 fundraisers. They were sold out. Great. A lot of support from the celebrity community and things like that for the most part. So yeah, it's just something that I decided to do and put my heart into, because it's just something I feel like God, it happened to me. It was horrible, but I'm one to always make something good out of anything that's been bad, if I guess you could say that. So I turn that negative into a positive by helping other people.
Exactly. And at the end of the interview, we can when you give out your regular social media, we'll tell everybody where they can go as far as finding where they can go follow Survive the Thrive Global on social media and website and things of that nature. This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goli Nutrition. As someone who's used Goli for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to Goli.com, use promo code DLEW. That's Goli.com, use promo code DLEW. But I want to turn my direction to your brand, Serving Looks. The origin, the development, the name, the products, where to get it, etc. All the above. How did all of this come to be?
When I was laying in that hospital bed, almost dying, and I said, I'm not going to ever go back to the medical field, because I didn't move to New York to be in the medical field. I was just making a lot of money in the surgery business. It was lucrative, and I fell into that money trap again that I was so familiar with as a teenager. You realize, wait a minute, I didn't move to New York for this. I could have did medical. I could have been plastic surgery business in Baltimore. Like, what am I doing? So it took God slowing me down with that blood clot for me to make those changes. So when I was in that hospital bed, I said, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to come out with my own TV show. I'm going to start my own online business. And Serving Looks is the name is me and my friend used to always, we worked in the business together, the surgery business together. And he would come in the office with an outfit, or I'd come in and he'd be like, yes, serving Versace looks today, serving looks, serving high fashion models, serving glam, serving this. It was all about the
Right.
confidence. And then we'd fake runway, we'd fake twirl, we'd fake turn and just,
Right.
laugh and all that. So it was always just about the confidence and serving looks. I'm serving a whole look. It's a whole mood. It's a whole aura. And that's basically what it became, Serving Looks. I started out with lip glosses and hoodies and t-shirts because those were the easiest things to get made as I was getting my trademark approved. So once my trademark was approved, I started jewelry, clothing, lingerie. I started with 10 lip gloss colors. Now I have 68. And it's been about 2 years. Yeah. So it's great. I love e-commerce. E-commerce is definitely the future. There's a whole world of customers out here, billions of customers. So anybody that's not selling something online, I urge you definitely to do that. It's only going to keep growing. I also am coming out with a line of adult sexual enhancement products as well. Lubricants, personal hygiene things. That's what I'm formulating now. I don't have a name yet. I also have my own show on Amazon Prime that I co-executive produced and directed last summer. We did 6 episodes and we filmed the whole series in 16 days straight without a break. It's called Finding Chrissy. It's currently on Amazon Prime and on Tubi right now. It's free on Tubi with commercials, and it's $9.99 on Amazon Prime without commercials. So pick your poison. But it's great. It's basically a show about my reality after reality TV, because a lot of people get familiar with who you are from TV, and then a lot of people never see you again. It's like, okay, whatever happened to her? I really liked her. So it shows my life now. It shows everything, the charity, Serving Looks, my dating life, which has changed because of TV. People Google you now. It's just weird. But that was great. That's been a success. And then I got the book deal with LC3 Publishing out of Atlanta to do my autobiography, which is what I'm working on now, which I don't have a name for yet. But I'm sure that'll also be a success. So I'm working on the book now, Serving Looks, and then the new line of products. So, and I do this all pretty much myself.
And I mean, I find the name to be pure genius because I see that terminology all the time on social media, mainly from the women as far as serving looks. And I'm just like, Chrissy had the wherewithal to realize, hey, I can capitalize on this and trademark this into my own brand. And I'm just like, this again, I thought it was genius that you were able to do that. Create your own brand, and now you're selling an array of, like you said, you have 68 lip gloss colors. That's unbelievable, and that's incredible that you're able to do that. And I actually did watch Finding Chrissy, and again, I think the coolest part about it was your upstairs neighbor, and just a lot of the, you shed light on his story, some of the trials and tribulations he's gone through, and you were trying to find him a date. And I just thought that was pretty unique of you being his friend, looking out for him, and also giving him some shine, on a streaming service, for your reality show. I thought that was great. Now, As far as your book's concerned, are you in the middle of writing it, or you're in the beginning stages, or you're just wrapping up and you're trying to come up with the name?
Okay, well, this is what happened. They gave me a ghostwriter last year. Oh my gosh. We transcribed it over the phone and he chopped it up so bad. This guy turned out to be some religious anti-profanity guy and all that. And we all know I'm being very mild tonight on our interview out of respect for you and your platform. But that's not me. And to take my book, which is so private to me and my personal experiences, and then just to try to cut out any cursing and all that was just a joke to me. Even the publisher, the owner of the publishing company agreed, it wasn't going to fly. It's not going to convey who I am. It's not me. It's oh, golly gee. Oh, darn.
No.
Corny. So
No.
He agreed that wasn't going to work. So we did that autobiography, and it was just horrible. So then he assigned me another ghostwriter who was cool. Guy came up from Tampa. He flew him up. Very nice guy, but I'm a writer. I'm a natural. That's what I wanted to really be when I was young. Was either a journalist and writer. I've always had a love for the English language. I've always been excelled at public speaking, reading, literature. So I'm just gifted and talented with that. And I know how to write. I didn't need someone to write the book. I just needed someone to structure it, which I could do myself, but I don't have the patience to put everything into chapters. And actually, I didn't want to structure the whole book. Like, I just wanted to write it. So this guy meant well, but I didn't have the confidence that he could convey my actual experiences and my life story the way it needs to come out. This is like, again, you got your one chance to blow. This is my book. So I'm not going to put my life literally into someone else's hands because they weren't there. How could someone else write my story? It's my story. So I had to realize that, and I got to, get back to, I'm basically starting it all over, but I'm using the timeline and the outline of what I've already written that they chopped up, but still, adding to that, taking some things out, because it's a lot of things to remember, man. Like,
for sure,
all those years, 50 years of life and experiences and people. So, I'm basically starting all over. Even though it was already done, it's getting redone again now. But I'm writing it. No ghostwriter. So.
No ghostwriter. Now, will there be a season 2 of Finding Chrissy?
Maybe, maybe not, because the production wasn't that great. You could see the poles in the background, the lighting. I mean, it wasn't that great, but I'm thankful for the opportunity. Like, it was an opportunity presented to me. I didn't go in, and they came to me for this. So I was like, hey, yeah, I'll do it. Like, great. It wasn't anything out of my pocket, nothing. It was just a project that was presented to me. And I said, yeah, why not? Who wouldn't want their own show, and someone else is financing it and providing everything? All I got to do is just come up with my real life every day and show how I really live, and just about my real life. You know how Seinfeld was just about nothing, pretty much, the real life, but it was entertaining because they had the characters that lived in the building, like the upstairs Kennys and things like that. So I wanted to be relatable like that. So even though the production was a little shoddy, it was still, I wasn't hiding. I was making a show about making a show, and it wasn't like I wasn't presenting that. People knew I was making a show. I was like, this is my show. I'm gonna try to make a show. Like, so if you saw people in the background or lighting poles, then it made sense. So I parlayed that. So season 2, it could be done, but we definitely have a better production staff now. Pete Petrelli, who is awesome, who brought the opportunity to me. He's been working on his other stuff called Side Chicks of Charlotte. Now they're doing Side Chicks of LA. So he's working on some other projects, but honestly, I'm really not ready to do a season 2 right this second. I'd rather get my next company up off the ground, get the book out. And maybe, who knows, maybe I'll even have a boyfriend by the time season 2. If I do a season 2, it would be next summer. I'm not even mentally prepared to do it right now because I have so much going on. I got to get this book done. So, yeah.
All right. Well, where can everyone find you on social media? Not only you're obviously the Chrissy Monroe brand, but also the Survive to Thrive Global as well. Where can they all find it on social media? All
right. Well, my main Instagram is at Chrissy Monroe. That's with the blue check because there's weirdos that always try to make fake pages of me. It's verified Chrissy Monroe. Survive to Thrive Global is at Survive to Thrive Global. Also, the website for Survive to Thrive Global is survivetothriveglobal.org. Serving Looks is at Serving Looks, and then the website for Serving Looks is servinglooks.shop. So Chrissy Monroe on Instagram. And then when you go on my main page, you'll see the links to, I have a dog page for my Chihuahuas. I have my Chrissy's Food Fantasy page link there. So if you just go on my main page, you'll see the Survive to Thrive link, all that in my bio. So, all of those are right there at the top. And then in my link tree is the links to my websites and stuff too. So everything's in one place. I try to make things as efficient as possible.
Chrissy, thank you very much for coming on to the show. We appreciate you, and hope we can have you come back on the show down the road to maybe talk about season 2 of Finding Chrissy.
Thank you. Well, absolutely. And I'd love to come back on after we get the book out. That would be a big milestone in my life.
Most definitely.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Lew Podcast. Again, I want to thank Chrissy for coming out to talk to us about all aspects of her career and her life, and I wish her nothing but the best in all that she does. Now, there's another podcast I want you all to listen to in addition to this one. It's called The Watchers Podcast. WATCHERZ is how it's spelled. The fellas break down all aspects of the latest in pop culture and sports. You can check them out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can check me out this Saturday at the world famous Monster Factory doing my ring announcer thing for Factory Reboot, our very first event for 2023. Bell time is at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at monsterfactory.org, and you can see all the stars of the MFPW. The future of professional wrestling is right there at the world famous Monster Factory. You can follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at The Real DT Lew. You can also follow me on Facebook, Derrick T. Lewis official page. You can get your official DTL merch in addition to the brand new D-Lew Podcast t-shirt and hoodie at shop.derricklewis.com. Well, I'm going to get out of here, and just remember, whatever you do in life, always make it count. Take care, guys. See ya.
They say plants like music. Yeah, no, like really, they respond to the vibrations of it, which means that this playlist you're listening to, the plants are too. You know what else plants like? Organic soil from Miracle-Gro. It's made with all the best stuff like wood fiber and compost. Plus, it's OMRI certified organic, which officially means it's made with superior ingredients. And when you give your plants the stuff that makes them happy, they won't judge you on your iffy playlist. Hear that, plants? So go ahead and give them Miracle-Gro.